Next up we have Alan. Yep, good. I'm going to have some information about olives. Alan Hodgson and Denise run their own company, Summerland Olives, and they've come over from Jigai to be here today. They produce table olives, dried olives, tapenades, extra virgin olive oil, and they're not just ordinary olive producers. Last year at the Sydney Royal Fine Food Awards, they won 7 awards for their produce, which was fantastic. Yeah, including 2 first prizes. It was very, very great. So I'm very grateful, Alan, that you've come over to share some of your information with us here today. Please welcome Alan to the microphone. Thank you. How's that for? Is that right for you?
That's fine.
Yep,
Yeah,
okay,
thank you.
okay.
Yeah, I've done lots of preparation for this.
Right.
Okay, if you're going to
I'll just move it over that way, so.
yep, okay.
There you go.
If you want to process olives in any quantity in the area, you need a few basic pieces of equipment. You need some decent containers. You can't hear me? Sorry. You need some good buckets. Food grade plastic I find is the best, and you can buy these ones. They come complete with a grate in the top, so you can fill everything up, and it keeps all the olives and things under the surface of the water. The other things.
Where do you buy them?
Oh, the olive centre is the best place. The other thing is you need a pH meter. This is a fairly big one. It's more of a commercial one where you can go from one barrel to the other to the other to another, and check your pH, because you'll be doing that every 2 or 3 days.
What is the pH? What you want?
pH, we'll go through that as we come to it, okay? The other thing is a refractometer, so you can get your salt levels correct, and that is really important if you're doing olives, because the olives will absorb a lot of salt, so therefore you've got to keep adding salt to your brines to keep them at the salt levels at the right level. So refractometer, and this particular one actually reads in percentage of salt, where most of them have bricks, things on them, and all sorts of other things. You harvest your olives, they need to be the best olives you can get, whether they be either green. If you have a green olives, they've got to be really green. If they're ripe olives, you need to be a fairly dark colour of ripe. If they're overripe, they'll go really soft and soggy and won't be much good. So you harvest them, you give them a quick rinse, just a really quick rinse, don't wash them too much, and then put them in your bucket, make up your brine. So you need to make up a brine of around about 9 to 10% salt, which is 1 kilo of salt per 10 litres of water, and put it in your cover your olives with the brine. Now, and put your lid on and your grate in. The lid doesn't have to seal at this stage, and check your pH. And you'll probably find it's around, probably by the time you mix the salt in, around about 7 to 7.5. So it's fairly high. Now the microflora on the outside of the olives will start your fermentation process. And it'll start really quickly, usually within about a day to 2 days it's away. And you can track that over probably the first 5 days with your pH meter. And you'll track it, it'll slowly drop. It'll go down to 6, down to as far as 4.8, and within a few days, and you'll start to get foam forming on the top, which is the yeast from the fermentation. At that stage, you check your salt levels in your brine and adjust it to suit. You probably find you've probably gone down from 9% down to about 7%, which means you've got to add more salt to keep your salt balance right. You track it even further weekly, check it, and it will eventually, your pH level will come down to below 0.5 or 4.5. At that stage, you know everything's going really well, and you should get a fair amount of foam and that on the top of your bucket from the CO2 and stuff that's bubbling up through the olives. Eventually, after about 35 days, everything going right, your pH will be down to about 3.8, and that's the magic number you're looking for. At that stage, you top up your salt to bring it back to your 9%, and basically at that stage, if your fermentation is finished, which in most cases it will be, you can fill your bucket right up with water and seal the lid down, and check it weekly. Check your pH, check your salt. So it all basically it all happens by itself. Green olives will take a lot longer. They can take up to probably 12 weeks to ferment properly. Black olives, you can do it in about 35 days. At that stage, your olives are still pretty bitter, so you just lock them down in their barrels and let them to soak, and probably after 3 or 4 months, have a taste, see what they're like. If they're too bitter for you, just put the lid back on and leave them a little longer. The black olives can take, depending on the varieties, from probably 6 to 9 months from when you harvest until they're ready to eat. Green olives, depending on the size of them, small green ones you can get away in about 12 months. If you've got jumbo green ones, huge green ones, with this process it can take up to 2 years. So you got to look after them, check the pH, check the salt, but the end product is fantastic. There are other methods that are a lot quicker, but the flavours are pretty average, to say horrible. When it's all completed and you've got your flavours to how you like it, that's when you start to decant them. You can either use them directly to your platters or when you're cooking, or you can make up a new brine, as I do with my olives. I make a fresh brine, acidified brine. I clean them, I pasteurise them and pack them, and those will last in those jars or containers for probably 2 years, and you can get them out and use them whenever you like. Yeah, that's basically my method. If you adjust the pH if it's wrong, you can add a little vinegar or citric acid, lactic acid. If you do it right, pretty good chances you won't need any of that. It'll all just happen by itself. But sometimes you may have to correct it. And then you go. You're there to eat. It's all set to go. It's not hard. And that's a really basic method, but it's one that I use and I've found very, very successful. Yeah, if you want to ask questions, go for it.
But not now, I'm just, we're in the crowd, yeah, okay. Yep.
If I knock the top off these, you can pass them around.
And
All right.
where do you sell from? Where can people get your Summerland olives from?
Oh, most of the best places from the growers' markets.
Okay, just can you tell people where you get your stuff from? Where if they want to get your Summerland?
Is there a maximum period you can store those olives after, like say if they've been sitting there for 2 years? Can you keep them longer, or is there a maximum?
Look, eventually any food is going to deteriorate. Okay, so unless you do the micro testing to find out your exact shelf life, I know ours are okay for up to 2 years because I've done the micro testing to find out what the shelf life is. But I haven't done testing beyond that period of time, because if you haven't eaten by then, there's something wrong with it. I'll knock the top off a couple of these. You can pass them around, have a taste if you like.
Okay. Thank you, Alan. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. I asked Alan where you can get hold of Summerland olives from, and he's just said, you know, most of the growers' markets around will have some. We don't have any here, though, unfortunately.